The scarcity of low-cost housing in Pakistan is the focus of this module. In the next two modules, we will discuss the PTI government's philosophy and plan to deal with this scarcity. Pakistan's population is currently 207 million. From 1998, when the last census was held, to 2017, the year of the current census, Pakistan's population has grown by 2.4% annually, which is a very high rate as compared to even the developing countries and South Asia. The urban population grew with an even higher rate of 2.7% annually. Now, the urban population is around 75 million. The urban housing demand is 3,50,000 units currently. Of this, the supply is only 1,50,000. So there is a gap of 200,000 houses annually. Most of the housing needs are at the lower income groups. So 62% of the lower income groups don't have a house, and there is a demand of house there. Then there are 25% for lower income groups and only 10% for higher income groups. This gap of 200,000 is addressed in two ways. So, one, there is the Kachi Abadis, which is the occupation and subdivision of the government land. And secondly, the informal subdivision of the agricultural land, which is close to urban areas, so peri-urban areas. So, in these two ways, basically the gap of the 200,000 is somewhat addressed. But in both these areas, or in both these solutions, the problem is that these are not close to the city centers where most of the employment, health and education facilities are. So what is happening is that the Kachi Abadis or low income settlements that are in the city center or near the city center, there is an increasing tendency to build more high-rise building in those informal settlements. And this is, of course, very dangerous because the building codes that are applicable elsewhere are not applied there. And we regularly hear such houses in earthquakes and as well as in other cases destroyed and leading to loss of lives. Another tendency which is increasingly visible is people sleeping in parks, under the bridges, alongside the roads. So these are the things or circumstances which show that scarcity of housing is increasing in Pakistan. Most of the data for this module comes from Pakistan Urban Housing Issues by Arif Hassan. So what the elite are doing with this housing crisis? So they are gated communities for elite and middle class, which segregate the cities. So there are these gated communities where only some or very few people live, and then there is the rest of the city. And the rest of the city is not allowed to come into these gated communities. And this leads to more urban conflict and class divide, which is very dangerous. As we have seen in the last modules, that this urban conflict can be shown or demonstrated in terms of riots, which happened, for example, in Bradford in United Kingdom and then in 2005 in Paris. There is also this concept of gentrification, which is improving localities that are close to city center and then improving them to conform to the middle and high income groups, meaning thereby kicking out the poor and then improving the houses and so that middle and high income groups can come and stay there. There is also a tendency of using the open spaces like parks or other places available for recreation to the people to make houses on them. The credit houses facilities of the banks and HPSC are also not sufficient. An outlay of 100 billion annually is required, while only 2.3 billion was given in 2017-18. So urban services have also been privatized, which means that urban services will only be given to those who can pay for it, which is very dangerous, as again this increases the social divide. Decrease in housing can lead to decrease in agricultural land, polluting and depleting of water resources, affecting forest and natural drainage systems. What is needed is urban land reform, which includes a heavy non-utilization fee on land and property, and urban ceiling where nobody can own more than 500 square yards of urban land, and no settlement that have a density of less than 400 persons per hectare. So these are the urban reforms that are to be done to save Pakistan from the housing crisis. Thank you.